Hey guys, how's it going? Getting set up here. All right, just got to reconnect this chat. All right. Okay, I think we're good. What's up, me? How's it going? Okay, let's see. Okay. So this is where we left off last Monday. Well, 2 Mondays ago. I took last Monday off because it was Labor Day here in the States. So I figured I would get back on this guy and get him posed out. It shouldn't take too long. Hey, what's up, Kevin? Hey, Moonmix. How's it going? Okay. So I want to combine objects now. I think I want to make his head. It's always funny when you come back to something you haven't worked on for a while. You can see things, you know, that you want to fix. And in this case, I want to fix his head depth. Feels a little too, let's see, a little too deep. What's up, Craig? How's it going, man? All right. So I'm just going to kind of push that face in. I'm doing great, guys. It's a nice Monday after a little break. I've got some crazy stuff going on. You might notice this new lighting setup. The reason I have this new lighting setup is because I'm doing a promo video for my course. I have a friend of mine working on it, and he came over here and helped me kind of get the lighting a little more dynamic. And this is kind of the result of that effort. And I'm liking it because you can see the toys a lot better. They're more vivid and colorful, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, what's up, Jana? So, yeah, going pretty good. And getting ready for the ZBrush Summit, super exciting. I just got back from, they have a local comic convention called FanX. And that was this last week, and I went to that. It was a blast. And I saw the Magic Wheelchair stuff being revealed there, which was like a really, really cool Hulk and Captain America. I think it was really good. Really good. Hey, Craig, what exactly is Labor Day about? You know, I don't know the actual definition of it. I'm curious now, I'm gonna look. It's a public holiday held in honor of working people in the US and Canada. So, that's all. It's like giving working people a day off, I guess. What's up, Cinnamon? Hey, Barry, how you doing? How's it going? Night Shadow? It's been a while, right? Yes, Moonmix. So I'm also sponsoring the ZBrush Summit this year. I'm going to be giving away 3 seats of my course. And that is for people who are watching it online. So if you watch it live online, they do giveaways in between presentations. And that's when they'll be giving away seats of my course. I'm really excited. I have a couple students in there from last year, and they were super stoked to win it. And it's a cool opportunity to let people possibly get in there. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So let's get to, I want to combine these fingers together. Hey, Dan. Yeah. Excuse me, let's see. And you can see they're all in pieces here. So what I want to do, and there's some people that have been asking on Facebook and struggling with how do you connect objects without using Dynamesh? And I've shown this in past streams, but I'm going to show it again. There's this new method in ZBrush 2018 called remesh by union, and I love it. So I'm going to do that right now. You have to have your gizmo showing right here. Oh, you'll be there this year. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Come up and say hello. Let's see. So under the in the gizmo, when you have it showing, you click the gear, and it's right here, remesh by union. Click that bad boy, and you'll see that it will stitch all these parts together like this. And it doesn't change the topology of anything other than the area around where it stitches the things together. And you'll notice that the palm is lower in density than the fingers. So I actually want to fix that first because it'll give me a better result in the end. So I'm going to Control Z out of that, and I'm going to Z remesh this so I can get a more even topology. Oh yeah, Night Shadow, no problem. Witchcraft, no kidding, right? Okay, so there's also underneath the gizmo, there's remesh by ZRemesher. That's under there too. And that is exactly the same as just hitting ZRemesh over here on the side menu. The only difference is it gives you a white cone that you can kind of adjust back and forth until you get the exact resolution that you want. Hey Sandro, I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry. I'm gonna do this. But you probably won't understand me. They are not open right now, Sandro. They will be open again during the ZBrush Summit. So I will be having a special enrollment period during the week of the ZBrush Summit, or the weekend of the ZBrush Summit. So watch out for that. I'll be running a special promotion during that time. So check back right there. Okay, is my perspective on? I think it is. Okay, that's why. Perspective, see how perspective is like, I'm like, why can I see the back hands when I twist it? So you gotta make sure you have perspective turned off when you work. At least I do. Okay, so let's get back to Z remeshing here. Z remeshing. And 5 is way too high. That means 5,000, and I don't want to Z remesh at 5,000. So I'm going to turn it down to, I'm actually going to try 0.5. That's basically 500 polygons, and then I'm going to click it. Okay, so you see that that lowered the density of the fingers, and it didn't really change the density of the palm very much. And that's what I want. I just want them to match a little better. And this thumb is looking kind of too big, in my opinion, so I'm going to just shrink it down a little bit. Okay. Now, if I Z-remesh that, or not Z-remesh, if I combine that by union, this the wizardry known as remesh by union, we'll try that. Unmask parts. Okay. Sometimes you'll get that error. And what you do is you can do a, just send your gizmo home. That sounds funny, but send it home. And then how you do that is hold down Alt, click home right here, so it goes back down to 0, 0. If I show the floor right here, you can see that he's standing in the middle of the scene at 0, 0. Okay, so you'll just send your gizmo down there. Then it will tend to work better. You can also hold down Alt and click on this circle arrow. And what that will do is that will reorient the gizmo to the world axis. Let's see. Thanks, Moonmix. Yeah, that's my new brushes page. You can also just go to 3dcharacterworkshop.com on the main page and get the brushes there. I was just testing out that other brushes page, but they both get you the exact same thing. It's just a different way of getting it. it's exactly the same. There's no difference. The page just looks a little different is all. And I'm working on rolling out a brand new website very, very soon. As soon as I get the galleries updated, I have these a lot of student galleries, and I need to get them updated and put up on my main website. And I'm getting that put together right now with the help of my good friend Scott Briscoe. He's working on it right now. So don't feed Gizmo after midnight. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's go to the gear, then hit, oh, come on, come back, remesh by union. Now it works. So if you ever get that error that's giving you some, like, this mask and symmetry, blah, 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 is not working, just put your Gizmo down at 0, 0. Send it home. Go home, Gizmo. You're drunk. So now that we can zoom in here and look at this, and it gives us a slightly better connection point right there. You can see that it still has the bounding box around the hands. So what you want to do is hit accept. So you click on that gear again, hit accept, and now we're good to go. And at this point, I want to Z-remesh them again. And this part kind of gets tricky. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. Hey, what's up, Attentive Slug? How you doing? Okay. What's up, Carlo? We're on Facebook. How's it going? All right, let's see. Now I'm going to duplicate these hands just in case they mess up. I always like to duplicate things because sometimes it's difficult to hit Control-Z and go back. Sometimes it'll crash. It's better just to duplicate things and just try and you know, make them work that way. Hey, what's up, Side Effects? Okay, so now that we're here, we can do a Z-remesh on this. But the trick here is I'm going to crank up adaptive size, and I'm going to leave poly count the same, and I'm going to hit keep groups and just try it and see what it does. Okay. That's all right. See, it's just... I don't know if I'm going to keep groups or not. I'm going to turn that off and just see what it does. See, sometimes it's better, sometimes not so much. Let me try, I'm going to try a little bit higher poly count, like maybe a 2. Maybe with keep groups on, not freeze groups. Keep groups, not freeze groups. Okay, I'll try that. Visual bug, really? I'm the 3D guy. You just constantly listen to my voice like narrator. That's funny. Okay, so that's better. So now we have just kind of a better flow around these fingers. And once you do that, you can actually just hit it again, Z-remesh to Z-remeshed mesh, and it'll clean it up a little bit more. Okay. Then you can just come in here and smooth it out a little bit. And just work those connections. See how the fingers look way nicer? But now you'll want to come in here and just kind of edit the connection points to make them even. So all the thickness of the fingers kind of all looks the same. "3D guy." That's pretty funny. Hey Andres, thank you so much. If that's how you say your name, Andreas or Andreas. Okay. So the reason I do this is because it makes the geometry just nice and even over the surface, and it allows me to be able to pose these fingers a little easier. Now the pinky connection is a little too fat. A little too fat. Let's see. Yeah, I'll be mirroring that cinnamon. So, and you know what's weird? You know how ZBrush will always mirror from left to right? I cannot get myself to work on the left side, or the character's right side, but the screen left. I always work on the character's left side, which is screen right. See, I'm working on his left hand right now. But if I hit mirror and weld, it would take this hand and move it over here. That's not what I want. So typically I'll just work on this one hand, and then I'll mirror it over, and then I'll hit mirror and weld. So, but thanks for that. Let's see. 21st century Bob Ross. Taking training into the future. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to hit mirror. So it puts it over here. And then I'm going to hit mirror and weld. That's one thing you need to be aware of when you use like remesh by union or remesh by ZRemesher. Any of those remeshers, it will turn activate symmetry off. So you kind of have to be aware of that. No sentiment, I do it all the time. I'm constantly working on this side over here. And I have to mirror it back and then flip it. Yep, happy little hands, happy little trees. If we get closer to 200 people in here, I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to be bringing to the ZBrush Summit. A friend of mine, Steven Anderson, is working on it right now, along with Jake from Formlabs. So yes, it's going to be a 3D print, but they're working on it, and I'm going to show you a preview of it later on in the stream. I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, so now we have Symmetry turned on, and we can continue editing. If you want to close the gaps between the fingers a little bit more, what you can do is hit inflate. It's kind of funny to think about because you think you want to use move, you can turn on like maybe mask by polygroups. You can turn that up and then try and like close this gap a little bit like that, which kind of works. You know, but it starts to leave these little edges in there between the polygroups. And we don't want that. So instead, what we can do is just grab inflate. Turn on topological. Just grab inflate and just lightly get a big enough brush that you can cover both fingers and just kind of inflate this. I gotta turn my polygroup masking off. That's why it wasn't doing both. There we go. See that? We can just kind of close that gap a little bit so they all match and then smooth it out. Hey, what's up, Sapphire? How you doing? What's up, Justin? Over on YouTube, how's it going? Okay. It looks like our hands are dark blue. I'm going to grab that color and fill it. Now, what are we going to do about these fingernails? I'm going to put fingernails on there just because he has them. And you can put them in there without having to subdivide up a whole bunch of subdivision levels and cut them in and use masking and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you a different way to do it while still keeping your geometry relatively low. But first, I'm going to fix this. See how this palm has this kind of dent in it right here? I'm going to fix that and bring it down. There we go. I just like to have that, see that pad underneath where your knuckles are inside your hand? It has this kind of pad right there. I like to accentuate that on cartoon hands. It's kind of fun. Also, the thumb pad or the thumb meat, this right here, it starts from the center of your wrist and goes up right there. You can kind of follow your line. And I'll typically exaggerate that as well. Just use inflate and just kind of inflate that puppy. And another thing that helps is actually grabbing the thumb and pulling it down in space. But we'll do that too. Like that. And that'll kind of push that thumb meat out. And then you can also use pinch, you know, to come through there. What's up, Anderson? How you doing? From Brazil, huh? Nice. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. That's a total Bob Ross thing to say. Thank you for welcoming me into your home today. I think he used to say that. It's pretty funny. Funny and creepy at the same time, maybe. Get out of my house. Thanks, Neil. Smurf hands, totally Smurf hands. I used to have these Mickey Mouse gloves that you could put on, and there were these big cartoon hands. They were pretty fun. I don't know what happened to them. I think my kids took them or something. Okay, so fingernails. Here we go. What's up, Nginx? So if I turn on the geometry, you can see, you know, how am I going to make fingernails on here? Well, I could do a couple things, and you can see they're just kind of subtle rings. You know, I could subdivide it up. Here, let's just do it. I'll show you different ways you could do it. So let's duplicate this off, hide the original, and I'm going to actually hit apply on the dynamic subdivision, so it gives it real subdivision levels. But that only puts it at 141,000 polys, which sounds like when I say only, that's a ton if it's Maya, but it's not very much if it's ZBrush. So I'm going to, well, it's going to save the project. Okay, I'm going to subdivide this a couple more times. Now it's sitting at about 2 million. Okay, and what I could do is I could take the Damien standard brush, which is essentially this detailed brush, and come in here and just like cut out the line like this. Just draw a circle, right? That's one way. But the problem is I have subdivision levels, and that's not necessarily what I want. I like to stay away from Dynamesh, and I like to stay away from subdivision levels, because subdivision levels give you, well, they don't give you, they actually take away a lot of ZBrush functionality. There's a lot of things you can't do when you have subdivision levels active. So another way I could do it with subdivision levels is I could mask it out. So I could get my mask pen, go like this, invert that mask, click, get the gizmo, click on the surface, whoops. So the gizmo's on the surface, and then I can just push it in like this, right? That's another way. And then I could smooth that out and clean it up. It looks really nice and smooth like that. Still, I have subdivision levels, so it's going to take away some functionality. So what can I do instead? Well, we're going to try something. I'm going to delete these hands that I made with subdivision levels and go back to the ones I had before that just have dynamic subdivisions turned on. And I'm going to use a masking technique, but we're going to do it a little differently. Okay, so and since the surface is not as high of density, it's going to give you a jagged kind of surface here. But I'm going to go ahead and paint all of these fingernails in right now with a mask. I'm just masking them out. I'm stuttering today. What's going on? Okay. One more. Well, I guess I got to do the thumb too. Okay, and then these kind of remind me of like Frankenstein's hands or something. Sometimes you have to rotate the screen if it's giving you some artifacting. Okay, something like that. And you can also turn on your poly groups and turn off dynamic subdivisions if you want to get kind of a little tighter in what you're actually masking here. For example, can you see this one vertice has masking on it? You can see it's kind of dark. Let me zoom in here. See how because it masks by vertice, and then it kind of feathers it off from there. And I don't necessarily want this one masked, so I'm just going to come in here and just unmask that, because I want it kind of flat on the top. Well, semi-roundish, I guess, but whoops. Okay. Do the right button combo. Just so they match, and I'll probably pull them back into circles after I'm done. But now that I have these masks, what I can do is I can go to my menu, And I can hit Edge Loop Mask Border, which does that. Okay, and that gives me a border around all of the things that I just masked. And I can inspect them, make sure they look okay. Undo that mask. And then what I can do is I can do polish by features right here. I can crank that up just a little bit. And what that does is that's just going to automatically round it all and make it pretty nice, right? So now you have these really nice round fingernails in a low resolution mesh, but you get super nice edges. Okay, so now what I can do is I can extrude them. I can do poly loops if I want. I can add extra loops around them just to break them up and make a line, which I may do that. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm just going to extrude them inwards. So I'm going to hide them all. Signed up for my boot camp? Oh, are you talking about you signed up for the course? That's awesome. Hey, Lucky. Did you sign up for the 3D character workshop? Is that what you're talking about? Are you in there? Because if you are, go to the community and click on video re-recordings. Here, I'll show you. And I show you how to do the mouth bag. I don't have a lesson up yet, like an actual lesson in the course yet talking about it because it's pretty new, the technique that I'm using recently. Here, let me, 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Let's see. Video replays, that's what it's called. So I have these video replays. This is inside my community, by the way. Just click and watch this one right here. This ZRemesher guide settings. Watch that, and that will tell you how to do a mouth bag. Yeah, with the technique. Okay, awesome, Lucky. Yep, that's where you go. Just go to the community and watch that. So video replays. Okay. So now that I have these fingernails in there, now I can go and grab my ZModeler brush. Night Shadow, yes. I was actually gonna talk about that new Spider-Man game. It is insanely cool. It is so good. So good. I've played it quite a bit. I'm only 25% complete on it or something like that, but what Night Shadow's talking about is a new Spider-Man game for PS4 that Insomniac just barely released, and it is absolutely incredible. What's up over on YouTube? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. So it's incredible on so many different levels, meaning the animation and the effects and the lighting and the music and the missions are great. It really feels like you're Spider-Man. It really does. And the flow of the swinging, and you get better at it as you go, and it just feels like you can just whip around, and it's so cool. And let's see. What I was going to say. Oh, what is really impressive to me is how much of the city you can see, because they don't get. When we were working on Disney Infinity, we were able to kind of make the areas smaller, and so it didn't take as much memory, and we didn't really have to take advantage of LODs as much. LODs are level of detail. So in a regular game like Spider-Man, where you see the entire city, there's what's called LODs, where you have a model that's your highest level resolution that you can see very, very close up, and it looks really nice. And as you get farther away from the camera, they will stream in lower versions of that model, lower textures, lower model density, things like that. And what's impressive about Spider-Man is you can't tell. And usually there's like screen ripping or hitching or lower frame rates or things like that. But you are swinging very, very quickly through that city, and there's no noticeable LOD hitches or anything like that. And that, to me, as a game developer and knowing what goes into making that work is probably the most impressive thing to me about that game, is just how well they were able to flow in the city as you were swinging around. It's just incredible. Anyway, there you go. So, Jessam, I don't understand the question. How can a particular episode be increased? I don't understand. I'm sorry. Are you asking how to rewatch it, or I'm not understanding? Sorry. Okay, so a Q mesh. I can use Q mesh. I can use extrude. I typically use extrude for stuff like this. Polygroup all. That's why I put all the fingernails in the same polygroup. Then I can click on a face and push them in like this. And it will give me that ledge, that same look, but it's very low poly. And then if I hit dynamic, if I turn on my dynamic subdivisions, it kind of looks like this. It's still a little too crisp for my taste. So I might go in there and inset polygroup all. I want to inset region. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to turn off dynamic smoothing again. So what, I'll do it again so you can see. So what that's doing is it's taking the orange and it's insetting a loop like this. Okay, and then I'm going to extrude it out again. Extrude it up this time because I kind of want a channel in there like that. Okay, so now what I can do is if I turn on dynamic and we look at it again, it looks like this. It's a little crappier. So what we're going to do is we're going to smooth it by hand. Just kind of come in here and just kind of smooth it out just a little bit, just so it's subtle. There we go. So that's essentially more of the look of that finger. Now this thumbnail is looking weird, so I'm just going to go hand tune this. Just kind of scoot those nails around the thumb so it looks better. So there's a little more coverage. Same with the, I'm just going to fine tune each fingernail here. Okay, let's see. Night Shadow, totally. I was actually thinking about doing like a crossover because I made Spider-Man for Disney Infinity. I was thinking about grabbing that character and then making the brand new PS4 Spider-Man suit with the white spider on the front. That one, I was thinking about redoing the Infinity Spider-Man with that suit as a fan art piece. I may or may not get to it, we'll see, but it'd be kind of fun. Let's see. Are you in the blocking stage still? In which case, wouldn't the fingernail detail get lost when you Dynamesh it? So this is kind of block out stage B, I guess, if you want to call it that. I'm still kind of in block out stage, but I'm in the next step where I've combined all my objects together, and now I'm kind of adding details like fingernails and things, but only I'm adding them while still keeping my mesh low. So I'm not hitting Dynamesh and cutting it in like I showed you before. I'm not using Sculptress Pro mode or anything like that. I'm trying to keep my mesh low so I can pose it and so it still looks nice when it's smoothed, and that's kind of the goal there. Okay, let's see. I don't think I can do Spider-Man on my stream because it's owned by, the license is owned. Even though it's fan art, I don't believe I can do license properties on this stream on Pixelogic. So I probably couldn't do that. But I might be doing it on just on my own if I have time. So let's see. Harish, basically I'm a ZBrush beginner. Could you please tell how to get through the ZBrush software? That's quite a giant question. I can't really teach I teach a course on how to use ZBrush, how to do this on my website. It's called 3dcharacterworkshop.com. You can go over there. There is some free training that comes with it if you download my free brushes user interface. But I have, you know, it's a full-on course. So I take you through how to build an entire character from start to finish inside of ZBrush to take you all the way to the high res. Then I also teach you how to make a game character out of that high resolution character. So if you're interested in that, I don't have any just basic ZBrush introduction videos right now. I'm thinking about making some, but I don't have any right now. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Sebastian from Poland? How's it going? Okay, I'm going to take just a little moment here. Now that the hands are looking pretty good, and I want to show you what I'm going to be bringing to the ZBrush Summit. And it actually has to do with the streams. So if you have been following me for a while, or if you've seen some of my past streams, some of my past videos, you might have seen me working on that dinosaur that a cowboy is riding. So a cowboy riding dinosaur. Dinosaur riding cowboy. That's backwards. That'd be a whole nother model, right? Yeah, the cowboy. So I've actually I've asked my friend Steven to help me do the keys. So Steven Anderson, he lives in LA now. He used to live here, and he's really super good at 3D printing. He has his own 3D printer. He has a Form 2, and he's really good at making keys, like setting it up and doing the supports and all that kind of stuff. So I've asked him if he could help me out, and I've also asked somebody over at Form Labs to help out as well. So I wanted to show you guys where that's at the moment. I can switch this off of the blue. So here is where the cowboy ended up. I didn't do the final stream inside. I didn't take him to final when I was streaming. That's what I'm trying to say. I spent about 4 more hours when I was done streaming with him, and I added like these reins, and I posed the hands. I just detailed them out, and so I added this base. You can see this base right here. Okay, and you can actually see the key popping out through here. Yeah, I should explode it, right? So I just wanted to show you, I finished off the pistol. Let's see. This might slow down the stream, I hope not, because it's running very slowly. And this glove shouldn't be there. Anyway, it looks like it's showing everything, and it's showing the glove. So, yep, I got the legs sorted there. So it's just kind of sitting down in between that leg as it's twisting. My favorite view of this, it's funny to say, but my favorite view is actually from the back. Look at that. So, because it was really fun to get that dynamic pose of that dinosaur just running, just looking like it's cruising along at a very fast pace. And if you can look at him from the top, and you can see that S-curve that's going through there like that. I used to be an animator, so I love just posing characters and really getting some action and some weight and that kind of stuff. So here I'm going to show you the keys that he's got so far. He's still working on it, but this is what it looks like. He's hollowed it out. He's done just a fantastic job hollowing it out. And then you see the keys here. It has these 3 small keys, so the tail won't twist and it'll lock in nice. And it has the one for the neck up here. And then I'm going to switch to the tail if it'll let me. Come on. Okay. So I don't think he's put the keys in the tail yet. Yep, it's just right there. So this doesn't have the female version of the key into the tail. But, all right, Cinnamon. Cool. Okay, so then here is the leg is what is crazy impressive. So check this out. So Steven's hollowed the leg out like this. and he's put these like these bubble keys in there, and he's put this piece in there too, so it'll kind of, you know, latch into the side right there. Really cool, and the key on the foot, like that. So it's going to be it's 7.5 inches tall, which is almost 200 millimeters tall. So if you've seen the ruler that I have inside of my, you know, if you've downloaded my ruler, my free ruler, that ruler is 200 millimeters tall inside the scene, which is about 7.5 inches tall, if you think about that, which will make it quite long. So yes, the keys are for a 3D print. So hey Jessam, no, not Dynamesh. Use the remesher. You can also subdivide if you're wanting to increase detail, which is Control D. Control D will subdivide it up. Then you can do some detail. You can also use Sculptress Pro, like this right here. You can use Sculptress Pro and you can just play with that. Okay, let's see. Let me find the other leg. Oh, come on. For some reason, it's not having a good time selecting these pieces. There we go. So that's the interior of that leg. So it's split right down the middle. And the reason it's split is because the dinosaur is, if you look at the whole thing, it has to balance and be over the whole base. See how long that base is? That base is so it's not going to tip forward, right? Well, this leg might break if it's going to be holding that much weight. So we've hollowed this out. When I say we, I should say Steven. Steven's done a fantastic job hollowing this out. And we're going to actually put a piece of steel wire down that leg to help support it. Like he's going to put a channel where you can lay the wire, and we're going to lay it probably all the way up to the head, inside the body. We'll see if it has to go that far or if it can just end at the leg. We're not sure. But thanks, Stephen. Hey, Dante, thank you. Moon Mix, yep, 200 buttons, as long as they're silver and gold. Okay, so yeah, I'm super. It's like Christmas for me. I can't wait to see it because they printed that. I don't know if you can see it in my camera behind me. Yeah, right here. They printed that pirate girl for me last year. I've shown that in the stream before, and my other character. So I'm just super stoked as far as that goes. And I'm trying to get this rendered out in Keyshot as well for my portfolio. Should be coming soon. But yep, I love how it turned out. Thanks, guys. And for selfish reasons, I've always wanted that. Ever since I saw Kevin Keel draft up that cowboy riding the dinosaur, the original sketch, I've wanted to do it. So, and I think you guys have seen that. I've shown it before. It's right here. So let me just pop it up here. Bonk. So this thing, this is the original that Kevin Keel drew. That I'm like, man, that would look so cool sitting on my desk as a character that's been 3D printed, just sitting there. So this is what inspired that entire piece originally. And then Johannes Helgeson came in and he did his own take, because this cowboy was kind of light on detail, and I wanted a more detailed character. So one of my other favorite artists, Johannes Helgeson, drew this guy, this one, and this is the cowboy I modeled. You can go back and watch me model him in past streams. So let's see. So there's that. I'll delete that and delete this, and then I'll pull this one out and make it big again. Boop. Okay, let's get back. Steven, I have a very unrelated question. If you get a moment on a character that is going to be mostly symmetrical, is it cool to overlap mirrored UV islands? Absolutely, if you can. Yeah, totally do that. It'll save UV space. Yeah, so like if your hands are exactly the same, just mirror it over. And it doesn't matter which side to which side, just kind of be the same. But one thing you need to know that if you're going to be baking maps with mirrored UVs, just take 1/2 of those UVs and shift them out of 0 to 1 space. That's that UV square that you're putting all your UVs in. There's tools in Maya and Blender and things like that that will allow you to just to kind of shift all of your UVs that are mirrored out to the next quadrant, it's called. So then when you do your baked maps, you won't get artifacting, because if you're trying to bake, you know, both hands at the same time from one high resolution to both hands, it's gonna like cause all sorts of grief. It's gonna look weird. So, yep. Oh, thanks, Dante. I will when I bring it home from the ZBrush Summit, I will show it to you guys in the camera so you can see it. I'm expecting it to be like this long, you know, from head to tail, maybe big. I don't know how it's gonna be. It's gonna be big, I'm sure. So, yeah, that's Kate Archer right above my head in the back. So, did you guys see that? So this one, I think I can go full screen for a minute. There you go. You can kind of see her. Yeah, this one was done by, this was not on a Formlabs. I'm trying to remember the name of the printer this was done on. But they also brought this to the ZBrush Summit last year for me, which is awesome. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Okay. Okay. Let's see, what could you start with a baseless and then build the Spider-Man Night Shadow? I don't understand that question, sorry. Okay. How much do you earn working in the game industry? It varies. It varies widely, broadly. Very, very much. Yes, Moonmix, this is the one from my course. It is, yeah. Start with a base mesh. So if I was to do that Spider-Man, I would probably, if I was to do it, I would start with the Disney Infinity Spider-Man that I made and just go from there, probably. You guys have questions like crazy today. Jaina, what's Nulf? With the eyes, are 3 shapes enough for the eyes in the blockout stage? Eye circles, upper and lower eyelids. There are a couple ways to block out eyes, yes, but typically I'll just use a sphere in the blockout stage. You don't need to worry about the pupil or anything like that. And the eyelids you can do 2 different ways. You can either build them up from the surface of the head, or you can actually bring in a half of a sphere and then use that that remesh by union that I just showed you to mesh those eyelids into your head, which works out pretty good too. Auto cucumber. All right, and yes, I use a Cintiq right now, but I haven't always used a Cintiq. I've used a Cintiq probably for the past 5 or 6 years. Before that, I was on a tablet. Before that, I was on an old, small tablet. You can still use ZBrush with a tablet, so. Okay. Hey, Most Random Nerd, how you doing? I'm gonna combine the shirt now and then the pants, and then try to get this guy posed up. I love the questions, but I need to concentrate for a few. Just get this further along here. Now, this has an open hole down in the shirt. So what I can do is I can just hit close holes, which is right here on my menu. Close holes. Yep, Night Shadow. Okay, let's see. So you can see with this closing holes, it does all triangles. That's the kind of crappy thing about it. It does all triangles. And then if I hit dynamic subdivision, it's going to create kind of this weird shape around here, and that's not what I want. So I'm just, an easy way to fix that is just to insert a loop right along there or crease it. Either way works pretty good. Okay, so I think I'm going to crease it. Well, let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. Crease polygroups. That's going to crease it. Now if I hit dynamic subdivision, it's just going to stick and be sharp. Yep, very warbly. Okay. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to do the remesh by union. So I'm going to send that home, hit the gear, remesh by union, and that's going to sew the arms to the body like this. Okay, and then I need to accept it. Sometimes it's hard to find that gear. Like, where is that gear? It looks like it got rid of my creases. I'll crease polygroups again. Yeah, Zinog. I have been checking that out. Looks pretty cool. Okay, now with this, I'm going to duplicate it, hide the original, and then I'm going to Z-remesh, just like we did with the hands. Z-remesh, but I'm going to go to 2000, try to keep groups, crank adaptive size up, and hit Z-remesher. Hey, what's up, Hiram? What are you saying? Oh, close convex hole with ZModeler? I don't think I've ever done that. I'll have to check it out. Is it under edges or faces or just what? I guess we'll find it. Is it under close? Close convex hole. Huh, maybe it's edge? Oh, okay. I've never used that. What can I move? Huh, I'll have to check into that. Thanks, Hiram. How you doing, man? Do you always use masks to form figure models? No. Oh, Hasmo, I actually set my menu to a hotkey. So the menu's right here. It's 3DCW. If you go get my user interface and my brushes over at 3dcharacterworkshop.com, you get the menu and it's right here. So you can just click on it and you can see it. And it's really, really easy to set a hotkey. All you have to do is hover over it and hit Control plus Alt and click on it. And see how it says press any key combination to assign a custom hotkey? I assigned it to 2. Not the 2 on my numpad, but just the 2 on my keyboard. Because 1 is already set to redo last stroke. So I set it to 2, and then it'll pop up. So it's on edge? Okay. Edge close, okay. Edge close. Oh, awesome, okay. That's good to know. Thanks, man. Very cool. Okay, so you can see what it did by hitting keep groups. It kind of peeked this out in here, but it did give me loops around the shoulders, which is great. And all I need to do is use the secret smooth, which is while you're smoothing, you just let go of shift, and it will kind of relax across the surface instead of you know, making the points shrink. Okay. Oh, thanks, Hiram. I need to come watch yours more. I see you streaming all the time. You're like crazy super streamer. Okay, and I'm just gonna leave this. I could clean this up, but I could try and clip it. There's a way to do it with the gizmo. Try and remember how. No, that's not. Gosh dang it. Yeah, just forget it. I can never remember the key combinations to do the stuff, so I end up just going to clip curve and just doing one of these, clink, and smoothing that out. That's easier. But there's a way with the gizmo where you do some crazy key combination and then you push on the gizmo and it'll flatten it out. All right, let's see. Is it necessary to weld points? If you need to weld them, you know, you can. It depends on what you're doing. Let's see. Doing the dinosaur from a couple months ago. Oh, you're trying to model that? I think that's fun. Okay, I wanted to ask you, how do you find the points to apply detail after getting some kind of base mesh? I don't really know. I'd have to see where you're stuck. Like, I don't, there's so many different ways to get stuck in this program. So I'd have to see where you're stuck in order to help you. Okay. Now, once again, yeah, I didn't mirror this, so I have to mirror this. We're gonna hit mirror and then mirror weld. There we go. Okay. Gives me some weirdness down the middle. Can you tell me the difference between Dynamesh and Subdivision? Because I get really confused. Yeah. Okay. So I can show you that really easily with this sphere here. So you have this sphere, and if I were to subdivide it, you just hit Control D, and what that does is that actually subdivides each square by 4. So it cuts it in fourths, which is essentially in half, but you can see each polygon becomes 4 polygons. You can think of it that way. And it also will shrink your mesh slightly, and each time you do that, it'll add a subdivision level right over here. See how it says 2 now? So I can hit Control D again, and that will subdivide it again. See it now, those 4 become 4 more. And it just it multiplies it by 4 every time you subdivide, okay? So you can see up here how it says active points, 6,000. So if I hit it again, Control D again, it's gonna go to 24. Control D again, 98. So it's going up and up and up and up every time I hit subdivisions. So now it has 5 subdivisions. So now that's how subdivisions work. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. Now, if I were to Dynamesh this, Dynamesh is over here. Where is it? Dynamesh, right here. If I just hit Dynamesh, you can see what it does. See that? That's not subdividing it. That just is rebuilding the mesh with small quads and sometimes triangles, but it's rebuilding that mesh entirely to be a whole new mesh. So it kind of reworks your mesh. Where the other one is subdividing it. That's why it's called subdivide, because it's multiplying it by 4 each time. So what's cool about Dynamesh is if you pull something out like this and you hit Dynamesh again, see, it's going to rebuild that surface. Whereas if you were just to pull that out and subdivide it, it would not rebuild the surface. It would just add more surface detail. So anyway, I hope that kind of clears it up. Scale control and gizmo. Hold control will clip along the axis. Okay, thanks me. I was wondering where that was. All right. Oh, to clip with the transpose line. Yep. Okay. Stuck the word is always on with ZBrush. Sorry, Barry, I don't understand what you're saying there, unless it's part of a different conversation. Is there a way you can avoid the mesh shrinkage for the base mesh? The only way is to have creased edges. So if you crease your edges, it won't shrink, but then it will create hard edges when you do that. So if that makes any sense, just try and crease your creasing will hold the edges, otherwise it just shrinks. That's the way it works. So let's see. Can you make live streaming in your channel about art critique and tips? I typically don't. I save that for my students over in the 3D Character Workshop. I might do that sometime, but I think the Pixelogic people want me to show ZBrush stuff, so I typically stay away from that. I need to turn off live Boolean. But it might be fun. Let's see. Hey Shane, I love your work. It's awesome. Just watching you and learn so much. I was wondering if you teach how to retopo. Yes, I do. I do. And I'm going to be expanding that eventually, pretty soon, to talk about it even more. So, okay, let's get back to it. I'm just going to smooth this down. So when should I use Subdivision or Dynamesh? Dante, I would use dynamic subdivisions, which is right here. Well, it's right here on my user interface, but it's right here. So geometry, dynamic subdivisions, and all that is a preview of what it's going to look like when you subdivide it. And that's when I typically work with that turned on all the time. And I will stay that way for as long as I possibly can until the very, very end, when I either need to color things a certain way or cut details into the surface. Then if it's time to do that, then I'll hit apply right here. And if I hit apply, what that does is it adds 3 levels of real subdivision levels. So that's when I start doing my details. And when is use of local symmetry, when to use? Okay, so local symmetry, which is right here, basically you use that if you are doing scaling. So here, let me show you really fast. Hope you guys don't mind me answering these questions. If I were to draw a sphere like this, here, let me turn on symmetry. If I had to make a sphere like this in space, and then I have my gizmo right here. If I scale this, see that? See how it's scaling? That's scaling on the world axis. If I want to scale it on its own axis, that's when I hit local symmetry, and now it'll scale on its own axis, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much the only time I really use local symmetry. But if you ever mirror your character, like use mirror and weld or mirror, make sure you turn local symmetry off, because it will mirror on the local axis of that gizmo. So there you go. Yep, I never use Dynamesh. I used to use Dynamesh all the time. Hey Dark, what's up, man? Your main problems with anatomy? Not the UI of the ZBrush? Yeah. Anatomy is coming to my course in a big way. Very, very soon. I'm working with two-dimensional artists that are helping me out, and I'm going to make an entirely new module all centered around anatomy. So if you're already in the course, you get that upgrade for free, and if not, I'm most likely going to increase the cost of the course after I upgrade that with that module, because it's a lot of work, and it's a ton of information, and it's going to increase the value of the course by leaps and bounds. So let's see, what's my favorite feature? Oh wait, what are you saying, Hiram? Select close in the ZModeler with closed convex as a target and hover over the click edge for a perfect geo. Oh, nice. Okay, so it'll actually make quads instead of triangles. I learned something new today. Thank you, Hiram. That's cool. I gotta try it. That's very cool. Awesome. What's my most favorite feature? My most favorite new feature is probably Sculptress Pro, because it allows me to, if I get into a bind or a certain spot where I'm out of geometry and I need more geometry to add some details, I can just turn that puppy on and just go. Dan, I'm sorry, Dan. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Okay. Just don't divide with dynamic subdiv. Yeah, okay. That's a great point, Moonmix. So never combine those two things together. It's like oil and water. What he's talking about is don't ever have real subdivision levels and then turn on dynamic subdivision levels, because what that essentially is doing is, like, say you've subdivided your model 3 times and then you turned on dynamic subdivision. That's going to give you a preview of 3 times the subdivision levels above that. So you're actually looking at a 6 level subdivisions, 6 levels of subdivision, but which is fine. ZBrush can typically handle that, but it doesn't handle dynamic and subdivision levels on at the same time. It will really, really slow down your machine. And you're like, if you notice a slowdown when you're trying to rotate your model, check to see if you have subdivision levels and dynamic subdivision turned on at the same time. So check that to see, and that's most likely the cause. Thank you, Moonmix. Oh, Dan, yeah, seriously, I still do it. I still do it. I still go like, why is this running so slow? Or why can't I paint on here? It's just going so slow. And it's because I've accidentally hit D for dynamic, and yeah, that's not good. Okay, so let me fill this shirt. We're gonna get to it. I'm gonna do the same thing with the pants. But thanks so much, Hiram. That's awesome. I can't wait to try it out. Okay. The pants. And I'm gonna try it, Hiram. Right now is perfect opportunity. Okay, you can see the bottom of the pants are closed, but the top. Here we go. Drum roll. So when I'm typically using, I should say typically when I'm using the ZModeler, I will turn off the dynamic subdivision preview. That's where these little orange dots come from. Those little orange dots are actually showing you where the real geometry is in space. So if I turn this off, boom, you can see that's where the real geometry is. If I hit D, it's going to shrink everything. It's showing me a preview, and it's going to show me these little orange dots that represent the vertices. So I usually turn that off. You can see these legs are shoved clear up into the hips like this. I also like to turn on double, then I can see the back side of what I'm working with here. So I'll turn this out, or I'll turn that on, and then here we go. We're going to turn on ZModeler, grab this, hit close, concave. It doesn't matter if it's concave. I'll just do concave. Okay, and then I'll click over here. Let's see. So that didn't do it. I'm going to try the other one. Convex. Is it convex, Hiram? And then I have these. What should I choose here? I've never used this before. There's so many things. Should I just try it default? Whoa! Oh man, that's cool. Okay, so you'll typically do the spiral if you're closing a hole that is for a game mesh. Okay, got the convex. I'm going to try to do it one more time. But typically those spirals happen when you're trying to do a game mesh, but they don't necessarily work as well when you're trying to do a high resolution mesh, because it will jam all of those polygons down into that point, which is what you don't want. So, okay, is that what you're talking about? Something like that? Straight lines, round corners, small round corners. Converge to edge. Look at all this stuff. Man, I'm gonna have to play with this. Just leave it? Oh, so you're talking about it'll make that, right? Yeah, it's still better than triangles, that's for sure. Okay, sweet. Thanks, man. That's cool. So I'll just leave that for now because I'm going to Z-remesh it soon anyway. So that's cool. I don't want to clip it. I just want to put this whole thing in its own. Not the legs. Go away. Yeah, I'm looking for a quad top. So let's see. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's up, Ken? Nice to see you, man. So let's see. I can show you an example of a cylinder, like this, a quad top like that, right? Is there a way to close it, like do a quad top, or would that be too mathematically impossible? All right. So for now, I'm just gonna show the gizmo. There we go. Show the gizmo. Where is it? There it is. send it home and reform it. Can't do it, Hiram. That's okay, dude. This is way better than the triangles, and it doesn't create that warbly edge, so it's totally cool. Remesh by union. Stitch those together. Looks pretty good. Okay. There's the gear. Let's hit accept. Then I want to try this though. Gonna play it more. Awesome. Yeah, I'll ask the guys at Pixelogic and see if there's a way to do it. It's probably not, because it's so variable. You know, there could be so many different ways of having the surface. But maybe. Okay, we're gonna try. I don't know why I try to keep groups, but it's just fun. I want to try and keep the groups, so we're gonna try it. Here we go. ZRemesher. Keep groups, adaptive size, crank that. I'm going to turn smooth down a little bit, and then I'm going to turn this to, let's try 3000 and try it. Okay. Not bad. I didn't do it symmetrically because I didn't have symmetry on. Let's try it one more time with symmetry on. There we go. That's pretty fun. So when you try to keep groups though, you can see that it packs just a ton of loops up and around the borders. So now what we can do is we can hit half right here and do it again. And that will decrease it by half, and then just, sometimes you have to turn adaptive size down, because adaptive size will try and match it. That's looking pretty good, but it's got this little rogue triangle in here. See that? Why do we need a T-pose for animation? Because that's the easiest way to rig your character. You want it to be in the most neutral pose. They call it a T-pose, but what it really is a neutral pose. So, for example, you're trying to look for where your character is going, the state your character is going to be at most of the time, and pose it in that state, because then from there you can start to deform it. And because if you're, let's just say for example, if you were to rig your character with its arms out in front of it, right? All the mesh right here that you build would be built in that pose. And then if you rigged it in that pose, but then most of the time your character has his arms down, then all of that mesh and geometry right in that shoulder is going to be messed up because you've modeled it based on your arm being out rather than down, if that makes sense. So that's why. You want it in the most neutral position possible for what you're going to be using it for. Okay. So this is a really weird rogue thing, and I'm just going to kind of pull this around and straighten it up. I don't know if it'll change anything or not. It doesn't really matter, honestly. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to Z-remesh it again and see if it, there, yep, it just fixed it. See, now it follows that line right there. And that's kind of what you want. When you're doing hips, you want them to be at a diagonal, because if you were to pose it or bend it, that is your hip joint is somewhere in this area right here. So if you had your, say if you had it straight across from the pelvis, or from the crotch straight across over to here, your quads wouldn't line up and they wouldn't deform as well when you went to pose it. So adaptive size, it will try and adapt the polygons to match what you're trying to tell it to do. So it will ignore your number more, if that makes sense. So the number right here, where is it? Right here. This target poly count, it will kind of ignore that number if you turn adaptive size up. It'll ignore it more than it, you know, because it just tries to adapt to what you're trying to make it do. For example, if you hit half and you keep going down and down and down, eventually it's not going to half anymore because your adaptive size is overriding what you're trying to tell it to do. Oh, let's see. Okay, let me Let me get on with this for a minute and then I'll answer some more questions. Okay. I just wanted to show the shirt to see how it is lining up here. I love all the questions, but it slows me way down. I think I would get this guy done in about 20 minutes if I wasn't answering the questions. But I appreciate the questions, so keep asking them. I'm just letting you know how long it typically takes to do something like this. So it's funny, he's got this little tiny pelvis box. Okay. Grab this color and fill it. And you can see that when I pulled that around, it kind of pinched it. So I'm just going to smooth it. And with geometry that's really, really low, you have to take your smooth way down. Like if I hold down Shift, you can see the Z intensity switch to 3. See that right there? My normal brush is 51. I hold down Shift, it switches to 3. And to change that, you have to hold down Shift and move the Z intensity bar around. But when it's really low, you want to have it around 3, or else your, I'll show you what it looks like. By default, it's at 100. If I try to smooth this, see how it just kind of crunches and gets rid of it? That works. So that's just something to be aware of. Let's go down to like a 2 to 5, something like that. Okay, and then I can turn on dynamic subdivisions. Now it's all smooth. Looks good. Okay. Let's get this guy posed. Let's get him posed, let's get him posed. All right, here we go. I think we're ready. Let me just check his shoes. Yeah, those will work. Those are fine. And his hands are fine. I'll put the pocket on later after he's posed. That doesn't matter. I do want to paint a little bit of purple on his fingers just for fun before I pose him though. So I'm going to grab this purple right here. Come on, go away. All right, grab the hands and grab my airbrush and just kind of paint the tips purple. It's pretty fun. And it did pull the hand out from his sleeve when I was messing with it, so I'm going to push this up here. Okay, let's get him posed. I'm going to save it. Blue Man 3. Oh, Dan, remind you again how you're grabbing the color, and also really quickly, I don't use layers. And I will either detail the model more after the pose has happened. Like say if you bend your arm like this and that little area right there gets all damaged when you're posing it, you just have to go back and rework it right there. Sorry if I tapped my microphone. Okay. So how I grab the colors is you have to have the ring showing. You have to show this ring, which you do by hitting the Z or Z key. Okay, you'll turn that on, and then you hover over the model, and then you hold down C. And see, as I'm floating on the surface of the model, you can see the color swatch change. See the white, different colors. And then when you want to, if there's a color you want, you just kind of hover over it, then let go of C, and now you have that color. Okay, so let me just check my subtool names. I will typically, before I pose, I will go through and rename things, but I'm not going to do that for just the sake of boredom. But I will go and delete all my duplicated meshes, all the ones I'm not using, like these extra pair of hands, because I've already saved it. I can go back and use those again. So you kind of look for your eyeballs that are hidden. These eyeballs right here that are showing the objects or not. Okay. Now, yeah, they're all just named polysphere because they're just polyspheres that I've duplicated and duplicated. But I would typically go through and I would reorganize the whole subtool list and then rename everything. But that only works in the app. It does not work from PureRef. That's actually a really good example of why I don't typically use PureRef, because I want to sample colors off of the thing. Otherwise, you have to go to Photoshop and get the RGB values, and then you can come type them into here. So right here, see these three? RGB, you can type them into here. So, yep, we're gonna pose this guy, Barry. Here we go. Turn off symmetry. I'm going to hit this T-pose mesh. How do you paint printed models? You just just go buy some paint and paint them up, like Toll paints or whatever from the craft store. Usually your model paints, Warhammer paints work pretty well. Justin, at the end of the work, how many polygons are you using? It depends on what the end goal is. If it's going to go to game, I will usually retopologize it by hand, and it depends on the game engine, what you want. But if you're just going to do a high resolution character, I typically don't pay attention to the poly counts very much. Oh, KV, I'm going to open it again during the ZBrush Summit. So watch out for that. That is in, what is that, 2 weeks? Something like that. Okay, anyway, I really need to pose this guy where I only have like a half an hour left, so I want to get to him. So I'm sorry if I'm going to ignore chat for a moment. I really need to pose him. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to start from the center. He's already in sort of that bend. I wanted that bend to be there on purpose, but I'm going to push it a little further. Okay, and then we're going to turn out these feet. Turn symmetry on for a moment. I feel like I'm speed posing here. Okay. I mean, it's just the arms pretty much now, so not a big deal. And you turn off symmetry. Now with this, I'm probably going to use that transpose master trick. Bendy arm. Whoops. And what I do is, as long as I turn on move, I can hold down Alt and bend his arm a little bit. Let's see. I don't know if that's going to work though. I only use perspective at the very, very end. As you can tell, I hardly ever have it on. So that's messing with his hand too much. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use now when you're posing, you can put things in polygroups and it's not going to actually affect anything. So see how these hands are in the same polygroup? I want them in different polygroups because I want to pose them separately. So I can hide everything else, then hit auto groups like this, and then it's going to put each of them in their own group, and then unhide it because I want to just mask out just the hand. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this is you got to think kind of outside the box. Instead of like bending the arm and making the hand go along for the ride, you can do tricky stuff. Like if you were doing this in real clay, you're not going to sit and try and bend that arm and make the hand match. You're just going to grab that hand and go stick it on the body, right? So we'll bend the arm after the fact. So I'm just going to move this hand over where it's supposed to be. And this is going to be tricky because his thumb's in his pocket, but his pocket is not showing any kind of what am I trying to say? It's not showing any volume, it's showing that his thumb's tucked in there. And his hand is gigantic. Okay, so I'm actually going to take this thumb and tuck it around behind and just make it disappear. Yeah. And I'll probably just shrink it and just fake it. So I'll make it look like it's jammed in his pocket, but I'll probably just like shrink it gone. Might do that right now. Let's see, now's the time to turn up the smooth and crank it. Just cheating. I'm totally cheating right now. Yeah, yep, right. And then I can just kind of smooth this out. It's like one of those, like the Doctor Who's phone thing, where it's like huge inside but small on the outside. It's like that. When you stick your thumb in your pocket, it just shrinks to fit. Okay, and then I'm going to take these. So this first finger is straight. I want it to go straight down. Let's see. I'm actually going to rotate the whole hand up a little bit. Cheating is good. Yeah, hold his waist like a pencil. This big giant hand. So I'm just looking at this this flow of this finger going down. And I'm going to check the size just to see. Yeah, okay. Then I'll bend these two fingers and then have his pinky sticking out. So what I did there is you can hold Control and drag down an appendage like this. And it's going to mask everything off except for what's down the appendage. So that's kind of a really cool way to quickly mask off things. Then I'm going to kind of be flying blind from the side. I want to move my gizmo. I can bend that. Let's see. Actually, it's not bent till the knuckle. About right there. You can tighten up the mask if you want by going, it's in my custom menu, there's sharpen mask right here. You can tap on that. So when you bend it, it'll be a little sharper. Okay. And now I want to, I can turn the range on this topological masking down to about 3. So then when I move this finger, it's not going to affect the other fingers as much. And I'll use the inflate between here. And when you pose your hands, you typically do not want to have air in between the fingers, unless it's a specific pose calling to do so. But most of the time, and that's kind of a rookie mistake, is leaving air between your fingers like this. You know, try and make a fist and try and put air in between your fingers while you're making a fist. It just doesn't work. Hey, Amin, how you doing? Okay, so, and I also like to square off the knuckles. So it's a definite plane change. Okay. Let's do the next one. And I'm going to swing this finger in like this. And sharpen the mask. And your fingers will typically kind of point at each other too, like this. I'm just using that alternate smooth to bring those creases out a little bit. You want to keep the volume in there. It's throwing gang signs. Okay, and then we'll bring this pinky out really fun. And this will take a lot of doing to fix the volume in there. Okay. So Barry, let's see. You're the creator of this model, so it doesn't matter if you do anything with the model. It's yours, and this is a styled character. So it's just a new style? Yes and no. Yes and no. So where I argue against that is this model right here is just for me. I'm just doing it for me. But if I were doing it for a client, I need to make it look and match like the concept as closely as possible, because the client has paid for that concept and they expect the character to look like that concept. So if you go off model, it actually makes you less valued as a modeler. Just keep that in mind. So I typically try and make the model match the concept as close as possible every time. Okay, let's fix this. Yes, if you're doing it for yourself, by all means, do whatever you want. Gosh. Okay, now I want to close this in. Where'd my color go? Oh, that's right. I'm in pose mode. Like, where's my color? But there you go. There's this little pose, and this is going concave, or yeah, concave when it needs to go convex. So I'm going to pull this up and out. You do not want to turn dynamic on when you're posing either. Yep, this model is just for fun. So I can do whatever I want. Right? Okay. Okay, now there's that hand, and I can see now that the palm of his hand is too large. I'm going to make his fingers a little longer, and I'm going to make the actual palm of his hand a little shorter. Then I want to pull it out. Hey, what's up, Patrick? Like this, and that's where the wrist is going to come off of, right there. No, I do not, Dante. It actually slows you down. It kind of acts like it does when you have multiple subdivision levels. It'll slow you down. It'll slow ZBrush down. It won't slow you down. It'll slow ZBrush down, which will in turn slow you down. Okay. Let's do this hand the same way, and then I'll bend the arms up to meet it. A lot of people find posing to be the most difficult thing inside of ZBrush. Okay, so what I'm looking for is where that chin rests in the middle of his palm and where his fingers are going to fold. And they kind of arc. They have an arc to them. And then I also need to be aware of where the arm is going to hook in. So let me move this up here and bend it out. And then I can cheat the palm over like this a little bit. And that's where the arm will connect right there. I'm going to pull it out this way too. Okay. Now stick it up against his face. It's like he's all sad because somebody's touching him. Look, he's like, stop touching me. Why are you touching me? This hand. It's hard to pose if you have to rig it after. Yes and no. So on Infinity, we would pose it in ZBrush just like this without a rig to kind of find the character a little bit more and sell the character, because it's really hard to sell the character to third parties like Marvel or LucasArts or whoever when your character's in a T-pose, right? And then you don't want to go to all the effort of rigging it up just to do it, just to put it in a pose to get it, to get a write-off on it, you know? To get it green-lit, I guess is what you call it. Okay, I'm going to actually bend this out, then bend it in. Ammon, it's just different. It's not, it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. You use ZBrush along with Maya. They go hand in hand, I guess. I should probably pose the first finger first and get it kind of sitting there like it is. It's going to be interesting. Okay. Sharpen. Sharpen. This one seems a little longer and bent more than the rest, and I might have to bring the palm up to meet it. So we'll see how it plays out here. Let's see, and then right here. I would rather, Sumerian, I would rather you could email it to me so I can take a look at shane.olson@3dcharacterworkshop.com. If I have time, I'll take a look. Okay. Okay. Now this first finger has squared off knuckles. And there might not be enough geometry in here to pull that off. What's CLS? What do you mean? You're saying class? Or what's CLS? Just trying to get that double pinch in here to work. Because you got, see when you bend your finger like that, you have two pinches. Oh, like next week? Or what are you talking, are you talking about in my course, or are you talking about here in the stream? Okay. This finger's kind of looking weird, but we'll tweak it after it. Okay, let's do the next one and see if we can get it to match up. This is a really, really tricky finger to bend here. In the stream, I don't know. I'll probably finish this guy up this stream. And I usually don't decide until like the day before what I'm going to be working on. I don't know. Okay. Yes, you can. You can actually paint. I'm not going to get into it during the stream today, but you can actually paint areas to say, okay, when you ZRemesh, do this area higher and do this area lower. Maybe just do a search or maybe an Ask ZBrush and look up, trying to remember what it's called. Use polypaint right here. Use polypaint. Because it uses a certain red and a certain blue, I believe. I don't really use it that much, but it will, do less density on one area and more density on another. Like if you wanted to have your fingers have more density, you can set it up that way. But like I said, I don't use it very often, so. All right, Meberry, take care, man. No. So, the sharpen and the blur, they will actually do it. That's a good question, actually, because it's kind of a hidden thing. But let me show you. If I mask off this thumb right here, okay, and that's a hard mask right along this edge. And if I hold Control and I tap on the surface, it's going to blend from that edge into the mask like that, okay? And if let's see, and if I hold down, whoops, go forward. Maybe you're right there. Okay, if I hold down Control and tap on it, it blurs it in. And then if I hold down Control plus Alt and tap on the surface, it sharpens back to that next row, okay? So if I use the menu and there's blur and sharpen this way, this blur actually blurs it across in both directions. So it'll blur it into the unmasked area and into the masked area. If you just hold down Control and tap on the surface, it will only blur it into the masked area, if that makes sense. Just one direction. And the same works for sharpen. So if you hit sharpen, it's going to pull it in from both sides to make it sharp right where it is, if that makes sense. That's kind of why I pull open that menu sometimes and I use that. Sometimes I'll use Control and click on the surface. So hey, Blands, what's up, man? Yes, I do. Not very much. I'd like to use more, but I haven't so far. I love it though. Oh man. Come on, saving project. Okay. Why do my models look so bad? Practice, probably. Just need to practice more. You'll get there. Okay, there we go. Now let's do this next one. I'm gonna bend it, cheat a little bit, and bend it a little higher up here. Yeah, sure. Honestly, I didn't know that till recently when I saw somebody else use it and explain it that way. Like, that's news to me. Yep, they're super weird. They're fat and weird. They kind of remind me of Wreck-It Ralph's fingers. If you pay close attention to Wreck-It Ralph, if you watch that movie again, and look at his fingers. They're like big giant squares. Amin, I save as a tool every time. I actually have a lesson in my course that talks about that. Why do you save as a tool instead of a project? Because tools are much smaller. And Z projects can get very, very, very big because they save everything. But Z projects, they work well with us as a starting point. So if you go and, hey Caitlin, I'm almost done. If you go to my 3dcharacterworkshop.com and you sign up for these brushes in my user interface, you will get this ruler project, and the ruler project is right here. See this ruler? And that's the only project I really use. So I load that project every single time I start to use ZBrush every day. So that's the only time I really save as a project, is when I'm trying to set up kind of a working file that I can start with every time, because it remembers all your settings. So it remembers like my material setting and my brush settings and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like it. Oh, thanks, Moonmix. Okay, so I'm just posing these hands, and then I'm going to pose the arms. Caitlin, I might go a little long today, but we'll see, because I really want to get this guy done. You'll notice I totally break the fingers when I'm posing, and then I fix the in-between. Because you really just care about where the tips land. Oh, somebody asked how many characters have I made? Kareem over on YouTube? I don't know. I've made probably over 200, if I were to guess. Can, what are you saying? I changed? How do you get back to default brushes? Did you save them? So over in the brush menu right here, did you hit save as, and did you save out your new changes, or did you just leave them? Because those changes will revert unless you do that, I think. I might be breaking this finger. I might have pushed it too much. Too much. Okay. There you go, Jassam. Yep, brush, reset all brush. That'll do it too. Thank you very much. I forgot about that. Hey, Sumerian. I Well, I'm going to have to reveal that in due time. I'm working on a ton of stuff. Right now I'm focusing on the ZBrush Summit. So I haven't been making some videos, but I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm going to be making a video for the students really soon explaining what's going on there. Okay. Pull this out. It kind of reminds me of an ape hand, right? Those apes do that a lot with their fingers, that shape. Yeah, RSly, I do. I teach, I have a course over at 3dcharacterworkshop.com. It's closed for enrollment right now, but you can sign up for my free brushes and user interface and be put on the newsletter, and it will tell you when it becomes available again. I should say you will be notified. It will tell you. This is a tricky hand, oh my goodness. Okay, now let's straighten this out. Oh, goodness sakes. Genio, yes I do. Recently I've been using Maya. What a crazy hand. You can work at your own pace. It's a lifetime access, work at your own pace. And then there's a super, really cool, awesome community of students going through it with you. A lot of them are in here right now, watching me. Like Caitlin and Cam, and they're all pre-recorded, and I add more all the time. Yeah, it's a dead hand touching him. It's like, and he's like going, "What's touching me?" It's like, "Nyeh." Totally. Just in time for Halloween. Stop it with the dead hand. Hey Jane, it's okay. I think there's like 4 or 5 studios here now. There's Wildworks and Chair and Avalanche, where I used to work. They're owned by Warner Brothers now. Most of my friends still work there. Thank goodness. Okay. Yeah, Cinnamon. There's a lot of students in here. It depends on the complexity of the character, how long it takes. Like this guy wouldn't take very long to make a game character out of. Like maybe a day or 2. But a more complex character, it could take a long time. Okay, let's bend these arms. Bend them, bend them. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. No, 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 like 8 or 10 hours a day. Like a day and a half or something to make this guy into a game character. If I wasn't streaming, that's about how long it would take, but it depends on your skill level, it depends on the complexity of the character, it depends on a lot of things. Okay. Gotta bring that volume back in. Sometimes inflate is good. I don't have my keyboard going on, so you guys can't see what keys I'm pushing today. Sorry about that. I usually have my a little floaty keyboard thing going on. In a little bit of a rush today. I'm going to shrink his wrists more, which might destroy his the actual cuff, but that's okay. And these are the kind of things that you discover once you start posing. Like, whoa, that wrist is not where it should be. So how many of you guys are going to the summit? Are you going to make it? Are you going to watch it live? There's a lot of good speakers this year. Okay, also, my goodness, there's... So now I noticed, see where the top of his finger is and to the bottom of his mouth? Look at how much distance there is on my guy's head. So either my hand is too small, which it looks like it is. Can you believe it? See, that's what happens when you pose. So I need to make his hand bigger. Oh, time difference gets a bit much. It's all going to be recorded too, so you can watch it later, but... Okay, I'm going to have to just kind of get it as close as I can. And then stretch his hand up even more. It's always difficult to do this stuff while I'm streaming too, because I have to focus on two things. I don't know if it'll be live on ZBrush. Well, I don't think the head is too long. It's pretty dang close. See that? Maybe the chin. I could probably bust the chin up a little bit. Like that, maybe. So, oh, that's a good question. X301X. So what you can do is, if you want to find out anytime where a button exists, you can hover over it and hold down Control, and you can see where it says button path. Brush, auto masking, topological. So it's under brush, auto masking, and then it's right there, that button right there. I've just pulled it out and put it on the user interface. That allows me to turn any brush into a topological brush. And this thumb is kind of weird now. Okay. Sometimes I give my characters voices while I'm modeling them. I really want to push that factor. Hey, Steven. Oh, yeah. Sean Connery. Only if I'm modeling Sean Connery, which I never have. Okay, I was going to do the bendy arm thing, but I think I'm just going to manually just start to just roll it around. Yeah, he's like, where's my other hand and why is it not attached? Yeah, I know, Caitlin, I know. But I don't know. I'm in a weird, I just want to force it and get it done mode. If I was in more of an experimental mood, I would do it, but whoa. Inflate like crazy. What in the world? That's fast. That's a fast inflate. I know. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't use it enough to be comfortable with it yet, you know? Do you know any button in ZBrush, or are you still learning too? Well, I'm always learning, but I'm pretty comfortable with ZBrush at this point. But yeah, always learning. But I have been using ZBrush for about 6 years so far. And I've been doing character modeling for about 18, 19 years. I've been doing it for a while. Okay, now I want to scale this hand up. Match what I did with the other hand. It's kind of tricky. He's got his giant thumb in his pocket. That's a reducto pocket that makes it shrink when he puts it in there, apparently. See, look at the thumb back here. I need to push it back in this pants, but it's kind of creepy. All right. Then I just want to push this hand pose a little bit more. I'm using Move Elastic. Move Elastic allows you to really kind of experiment with large moves. That's right. He's like, where did my thumb go? Why does it fit in these pants? It's kind of doing some weird bendy stuff in there. See, look at this thumb. I gotta push it in there. As long as it doesn't pop out the front, I'm good, right? Look at that thing. Not that it matters from the back, but yeah, clown car pocket. There we go. I kind of want to have him talking on the phone, but all right. $208, not too bad. Pull his arm out a little longer. I keep seeing things. He's like Mr. Bendy Man. Okay. I'm just going to save this as a Blue Man pose just in case we lose it for some reason going back. He's thinking, why am I so blue? I'm so blue. Okay, here we go. Back to... It's always fun to watch him get pushed back to his pose. Boop, boop, boop. 4 seconds. Wow. That was quick. And I see some stuff that I want to tweak as far as like getting his eyes closer together, getting his nose messed, you know. I want to do some more things with his expression, but not, probably not today. I'm going to wrap it up. So Thygo, it is over at 3dcharacterworkshop.com, right on the front page there. I'll show you really quick. This is inside the student community. Communities right here. You can see there's 542 people in the community right now. But here's some of my student work that's happening. Really fun. Okay, let's see. It is 3dcharacterworkshop.com right here. And then you just click on this sign up to be notified. And I'm currently working on updating this website, and it should be updated before the ZBrush Summit to have a whole new look and a whole new feel. And the student galleries are going to be right here on the front page, so you can browse them, so you don't have to go up into these galleries up here. And I'm updating all the galleries as we speak. So, yep, there you go. That's where you go to get it. Yep, Akrule, I'm gonna keep tweaking after the stream goes, and I'll get him dialed in. He's pretty close, but he still needs some tweaking. Yeah, like his waist and his eyes closer and a bunch of stuff. Bunch of stuff. But I usually take the little tiny noodly stuff and do it offline, so you guys don't have to watch me noodle forever. Anyway, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching today, joining me on this Monday. And I hope some of you can make it to the ZBrush Summit. It's going to be soon, and it tells you about it every time you open up ZBrush. It tells you about the summit and the dates and all that kind of stuff. So let me save this. Save this while we're thinking about it. Blue Man 3. Awesome. And like I said, I'm going to have this dinosaur there 3D printed. My friend Steven Anderson is helping me get it printed. If you guys haven't seen it, he's been working on doing the keys for this thing, and it's looking amazing. Look at that, the inside of this thing. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and we'll have to see what I come up with next week. I'm not sure what I'll be sculpting next, but thanks so much for dropping by. And as always, if you'd like my free brushes and user interface and ruler file, you can get those over at 3dcharacterworkshop.com. And I will be opening up for a short enrollment window during the ZBrush Summit, so watch out for that. I will be sending out an email letting everybody know that there's going to be an enrollment period then. Thank you very much, Pixelogic, for letting me stream on your channel. I can't wait to see all you guys in a couple weeks. It's like my Christmas time. I love seeing everybody there, so I can't wait. Anyway, thanks guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next Monday. All right, cheers.